Whoa, she already drove there. What a beautiful day. Hey, you got toilet paper. It's gold. Whoa. Hey. Okay. Let's go down here. Let's see the groceries I got. Hello. Ayla. I missed Ayla. I'm so sorry. I missed Ayla. Hi, Ayla. I love you. It's Dada. I had to get groceries. Maybe I can see her drive down. The lady. The lady was supposed to be like a little girl. Look, there's a car. See the blue car? You can barely see it. She was driving down the mountain. Hi. Yo. I feel great. Well, kind of, not really. I was sad that I missed Ayla. Some nice lady drove here to deliver the groceries. Whoa. Huh. Huh. It's like they're trying to make it like I'd be angry. Instead of getting to be with my daughter, I got a bunch of expensive groceries. I don't know why God would do that to me, but the devil did it. But God did it. God got the groceries. God does everything. God made these beautiful groceries in this beautiful day. I gotta put it away so it doesn't freeze no matter how hungry I am. It's a bunch of stuff to put away, kinda. That's what people have to do. It's an investment in good health. Did you ever invest in your good health? You take an interest in those kinds of things? You don't like to use the word invest. I don't know. I better bring the groceries. What's gross? That lady was nice. I better bring this stuff in. Yeah. Wow, what a nice lady. What a nice lady. Big ominous sounds. That they tried to blame on my groceries. I could have put shoes on. That lady was nice. Hey, that's a miracle. Maybe a miracle. Homestead Creamery. Wow. What they did to Jesus. What they did to Jesus. What they did to Jesus. I'm supposed to hear when they say no idea what I've done. Didn't even get to enjoy much of the. They want to close my lips into the door. Now I gotta get to work, putting it all away. I'm so hungry. A miracle. I can put this in the freezer. Wow. I got so many good. Of course, I'll have to edit that. I have to pull my pants up ridiculously high. I got so many good groceries. Look at this. Hey, the nice lady. A banana cake. Thaw and enjoy. Hey. Orange juice. Wow, that made me slam it like I was in. Wow, this is a miracle. Look at this sweet cherry pie. Cool drink of water, make a sweet surprise. Sweet cherry pie, oh yeah. Wow, that was really good. Don't say it in this neighborhood. If you say it looks really good, then they try to destroy it. They don't try to destroy it, but it takes it down if you say it out loud. It's been a small window of anything being much of anything that great. It's not this. It's kind of how it's been here for a couple of years. I don't like it. It's okay. It's pretty good. Sometimes it's okay. It's gotten better. I don't know. Bet. Green peppers. Actual green peppers. I don't know. Big rich guy. Let's get some frozen stuff. Whoa, I got Homestead Creamery ice cream. Maybe the biggest miracle. Homestead Creamery ice cream. Wow. Best ice cream I ever had. Lemon crunch. Wow, it's really good. It's the best ice cream I ever had. In Spumoni Gardens, and ice cream that my mom made. Put a bunch of stuff in that other freezer. Fries. I tell you, all right. All right. Look at this. Wow. I'm gonna eat it right now. I don't know. Wow, there's another one. I got two of them. Two of them. It's pretty good. All by myself. As if I got to go out in public and be one of the cool people that does it out there. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have been sinful. Instead, God had a plan for me to be away from others, to have Jesus. But I'm supposed to be able to go out there. I can go out there and I don't know. Some people don't want me to talk. They don't want to hear me. They don't care what I say. But it's fun out there sometimes. You gotta pull my pants up to even walk past the camera. Did you like waiting right there? That's what people think. He's the one who's an expert at doing all the stuff that he did. So he must be trying to show his backside when he leans down. That must be the camera angle he was going for. Not everybody's perfect. There's only so much people can do. You'd like to get me in trouble for it now. Eat the food. Eat the food. Put your pants up one more time so you can film the whole thing while you're working on it, instead of trying to act sexy and cool like others do, and then they feel bad later for their own sin. How great. I can't do it anymore. All this cheese, look at this lettuce. These huge things of lettuce, 2 bags of lettuce. All this cheese, healthy protein, look at all this cheese. Vegans don't like it. I prefer no cheese. I prefer no cheese. No cheese, please. I don't want the lettuce right now. I'd rather have no lettuce. But I prefer lettuce more than no lettuce. I'd rather have lettuce. I like lettuce. There's 3 things in it. I like lettuce. Don't talk. Don't talk. Didn't want to get taken away by the police for my pants falling down and exposed. I don't want to expose myself. That's what may happen to you or anyone. If it's an accident out in public, you could get. Look what they did to Jim Morrison. They killed him for it. He had to kill himself to avoid being raped in prison for it. He had to kill himself by overdosing on heroin. So they wouldn't put him in prison because from thousands of feet away, he exposed himself on stage as if anyone could have seen what his penis looked like anyway. You know, come on. As if they didn't all do that in every audience. Women show their boobs and they allow nudity in Europe, but for some reason they killed him for it in America. They're going to punish him so bad. So he had no other choice but to do heroin in a bathroom stall and overdose on it and kill himself in a poor bathroom stall in some place in Paris. And they took his body and put it into his bathtub at his hotel to make it look like he just passed out in the bathtub, so the restaurant wouldn't get a bad image for where he died. They killed him for it. Or he'd maybe be alive today if it wasn't for the stupid political things that I'd like to be a politician. I'd like to be president, but so frightening about Jim Morrison. You know why? Because he was a sinner. He fornicated, and that's why he had to suffer at the end of his life worrying about being in trouble for it. And it wasn't really the police or anyone like that who did it. It was the devil who killed him for it. He's out of here. Sorry, Mom. You got to keep a passage clear. Or if you had to run to the door in an emergency, somebody may get hurt. Pretty good. The ghost guy. Miracle, I got enough toilet paper. Didn't have to wipe my butt with used toilet paper that had crap on it that I pulled out of the trash. To try to be as poor as others or something. Because they're angry that I spent this much money on toilet paper. It's so stupid. How God made everything for a reason. Including the sin on earth. How great. Well, it's not that bad. This whole time, there's been a stupid little piece of thing on my foot. It's rubber, so it won't damage the floor. And it tried to rape me when I reached down to pick it up because it could have been a rock. So instead, they tried to rape my ass with it by having the toilet paper touch my ass when I bent down to pick up this thing, so it didn't scratch my floor. I hate that shit. Hey, this is good. What's in here? Cucumbers. Yeah, I don't feel like having them right now, but they're cucumbers. This is stuff I don't really even want to eat. This one. I'll put it here. I don't know what it is. Oh, orange juice. Wait. Orange juice. Something wrong with this one. They tried to make it like my grandfather's, their regular orange juice. And it was the wrong kind of orange. This is the right one. I'm not complaining about her groceries. She got everything right. She is a really good lady. She got really good groceries. She got really good groceries on a beautiful day. She got the best groceries possible. She got really good groceries. Really, really good groceries. That lady who delivered them. The delivery lady. This looks good. I better wash my hands so I don't get sick. Okay. Yo, are you gonna eat that? This is the only food. This is like the kinds of food I had pretty good stuff. Yo, what's you? What's the difference, man? That's what you had, John. You had to eat it.
You don't ever blame it on somebody who talks like that. But that's what you deserve. See? Who are you? A miracle. I'm not gonna eat this talent. Well, I'd like to. Looks too New York City. I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator. I don't know. I'll do it this one time. I don't know which one to eat. I was gonna have that or the Homestead Creamery. I'm gonna have this one. I better have the Homestead Creamery. It's more, I don't know which one to eat. I'll try some of this. It looks really good. Doesn't even open and there's something stuck in the bottom of my foot. No, there's nothing on my foot. It's really clean in here. The only piece of thing. They made it so I couldn't, I don't know what. I'm trying to open it. See, that's how folks you when your muscle is. Everyday things. I don't have anything to prove. I did it so my stomach would look in cool shape and look good and attractive. I didn't do it to have really strong arms. It was what I had to do. It was what I had to do to even look good enough for not be bedridden, to not be bedridden. I found that strength training was a way to do it, to make you look the best. I'm sorry. There's water. Let's have a water. Let's have a water. Somebody try to fart and blame it on me. I'd rather have a water. Cold water. Praise the Lord, praise Jesus, praise God. Praise God. No. I'm trying to pull this up so my stomach looks good enough and I feel confident and really good. It's a bunch of work. Praise Jesus. Sometimes it comes easily. To be in okay health. Sometimes God takes away your health no matter how hard you worked at it or anything. He could take it away in a moment. Praise Jesus. Thank God for my health. Whoa, this is really good. Look at this. They tried to get me by having me wipe my nose instead of eat that. The devil. Tried to ruin the food by doing some gross thing to me. The devil. People don't do it. Everybody, praise Jesus. Everybody lives for God. We're all part of His plan. Praise the Lord. Sweet cherry pie. Oh yeah. Homestead Creamery with the cherry pie. No. It wouldn't go with a New York City type of food. It's not New York City. That's why it looked weird. Wow. That was pretty good. See how God makes things be this time. What's the stuff on the knife instead of getting go here to the sink. It's work. When people get big, they have to work at things. It doesn't always feel good. It's not like it always is fun. Like when we were little kids, everything was fun. Well, some people really had it not easy as a child. Not my family, but other people's families. I feel sorry for them. Oh, don't tell me this one's chocolate. Why would I put that on a cherry pie? Yo, just get out of here. Get out of here. The lemon crunch. No, you don't do that. Whoa. Of course, the devil tried to put some snot into my nose right then. Oh. Not literally the devil, but when I said the devil, it made it sound like the devil himself. You know, the sin. To do all these things. You couldn't even enjoy the food unless you, I don't know what. You don't listen. Look at this. Wow. Look at this. Lemon crunch. So not creamy. Really good. Check this out. Almost like get rid of that. This is good. Whoa. This is awesome. I'm not gonna eat the whole cake. I might have a piece of it, whatever this cherry pie. Wow. It's the best food I've had. Maybe in who knows how long. Sweet cherry pie. Oh yeah. This is awesome. Saves people's lives. Maybe police do. The rescue squad, the firefighters, police. Hey. gotta stop. Well, no, it looks really good. It's supposed to. And sometimes you can't, no matter how good it looks. It looks really good. Wow. Never would have thought that I would be okay eating food instead of crying that I couldn't be with Danica and the kids. They couldn't be there for, never mind. Now I made it about sex. Disgusting. The devil tries to ruin everything. This is really made it like shit to show you. And just throw it away. I just throw it away. Disgusting. You don't ruin my food. Cherry pie. Oh yeah. Praise the Lord. The bird. I miss the baby. I better not have that. Why would Homestead Creamery here? No. Nothing went wrong with the food. Homestead Creamery. Maybe. Maybe not. Wow, Homestead Creamery. It's sad. I ate this much. Here's how much ice cream I ate if you want to see how much I ate. I had a small amount of the other ice cream. I had this much of this one. Not that much because I had the pie. Dear God. Here's how much pie I had. Dear God. Too sweet. For some reason, small amount comparatively was very sweet. It was very sweet. Food. Now I feel big. Boom, baba, boom, ba. Marky Mark. Yeah, get away from him. Okay. I'm afraid. I'm afraid. Maybe okay, I don't know who that is. It's somebody who knows how to room home. Marky, M-A-R-K-Y. M-A-R-C. I don't get in trouble for anybody. If I talk about a famous person's name in the video, I'm not allowed to. Okay. What a nerd I am. Now my stomach hurts from drinking that water. I better go upstairs. You best get out of here. You go up and bring some toilet paper for you. It's so cold. My feet are cold. That pie was really good. Why did I drink a stupid water with it? The first water I drank was really good, but afterwards it was like, ew. Something went wrong with it. But it's good. At least I can walk up steps too. I hope they're okay. I hope the people in my family are okay. It's really more sad than you'd ever think when people get old. It's so cold. It's warm up here, but it's not warm enough. I can finally wipe my butt with regular toilet paper. Look how much toilet paper I have left. Way out in the woods. And you don't run out when you get plenty. Let's turn this on. My toes! My toes! I'll tell you this much. I'll tell you this much. I'd be afraid to live in a really cold... I'd be afraid to live in Canada. It's so cold. It's way colder than here. It's way colder than here. It is cold up there. I'd be afraid if you had to go outside, you might die. If you got stuck outside, what would happen? What if you died? Gosh, how do they do that? So I'd be afraid to go there. I don't even know if I can visit unless it's in summer. But you don't want to get stuck there till when it gets cold, and you'd probably be okay. Most people are okay there. Most everybody is okay who lives there. I don't like the cold. My feet are cold, so cold right now, and it's April in Virginia. My toes are so cold. They're so cold. I gotta put them in here. No, I don't feel good. I feel terrible. I feel sad. Okay. I guess I'll go. I don't know. Maybe I can talk to Ayla. I'm going to try to get her a phone. Well, if I get her a phone, maybe she'll talk to me every day. Maybe if I get her a phone, she'll talk to me every day if Mama lets her. That's at least better than this. Okay, bye. Hi. Okay,
Hi.
oh, hi, Al Bob. Hi, Al.
Hey.
Al.
Yeah. Owl
Hey,
Bob.
Al.
Hey.
Hi, it's recording.
It's recording.
So, okay. Well, do you
So
want to
you,
not record and talk about something else? Is there anything better you can think of besides making a video?
but at this moment, not really.
Okay, no. So is it okay if I record you and you tell a story
Sure.
and people can pay you on PayPal to your email on your channel?
Yeah. So why not?
Okay, Dreamy Dreamland or whatever. You just look up Owl Bob and you can find his channel. Look for
Are
his
you
channel.
recording now? Are you recording right now?
Yes.
My PayPal is thedudeawake42@gmail.
Oh, great.
Thedudeawake42@gmail.
Okay.
Anyway, so what kind of story do you want to hear about?
Okay. And I can give you more money about stuff if you talk a little more. Okay.
All right.
How about did you
Want
did
to hear a story about the first time I went to Europe?
yeah.
Okay. So it was how can I put this? I was about 14, and that's about how old you are between freshman year and
Whoa.
in high school, right? 14, right?
Okay.
And my parents had sent me off to, a seminary to be a Catholic priest, right?
Okay.
And I should want to be a Catholic priest if I'm going to be a Catholic priest, but I really didn't care. And so I had from third
Whoa.
grade to eighth grade, I really had a great time. I had a great school, great friends.
Wow.
It was out in eastern Long Island, so it was
Oh.
very rural, but it was changing to become very suburban for rich people because it wasn't that far from New York City, and the Long Island Railroad was there. Anyway, so I had a great, third grade to eighth grade, right? And I was expecting to go on to that high school that I was part of because I was like the dude and everything was great. And I had girls were interested in me and I had friends and I was interested in doing stuff. And all of a sudden, my parents say, well, you're going to a seminary and you're going to go to this, summer school in Maine to prepare you to go to the seminary. Then again, I wasn't like my brothers and sisters. If my parents told me something, I'd say, no, I'm not going to do that. I would kind of, okay, because it was more interesting to see whatever I would be getting into. So I basically said, okay, and I was sent off to Canterbury.
Would you have tried to? What other choice would you have had? You were a child.
Whatever choice what I would have liked was just to stay where I was.
Yeah, but you were a child. You couldn't do anything about it because unless you told them, like, I really don't like it or something.
I basically was a teenager. You're not quite a child when you're a teenager. I was 14, right? So, and my grandmother constantly told me about the life that you're not always the same. No. When you're a child, a little boy, from 4 to 10, you're a child. You listen to grown-ups. You try to understand. You try to learn. You see what the experience of life's about. And then she said, when you become a teenager, you're no longer a child. You're a young adult. So you are responsible for who and what you are. You're no longer
I'm not a child.
No, you're not. You're not. You're a
But
grown man.
when people listening to this, they might want to feel like they're a child and they get to go to Europe or whatever.
No. But anyway, so I, went off to prep school, seminary, and it was a shock because it was corrupt and it was venal. And it was really nasty. People were getting beat up, and it was like just unbelievable. And it was accepted as that's how things were.
In
Like,
Maine?
school, they had a thing called fagging, and that was an English term that meant, like in England, fags are cigarettes, and they're like, disposable, usable. One cigarette doesn't mean anything. And so as a freshman, that was you. You didn't mean anything. You had to do everything that the upper class said. The juniors and the seniors. And the only excuse for that was, well, when you become a junior and a senior, you can mistreat the freshmen and sophomores like we're mistreating you. And so I said, I don't think so. And so my friends and I, a small group, it was right when the Mission Impossible was on television, and we saw ourselves as the Mission Impossible team, and that was to, say no. And we just threw that whole school into total, because you got punished. Not only did you get beaten and mistreated by the majority of the teachers and the upper class.
Was it a corrupt Catholic school where they had people, nuns who beat up people and stuff like that?
No. It was a seminary, so it was all guys. There were no women there.
Did they have the gay priests back then?
Oh yeah, did you ever? Yes. Yep.
No.
I had learned, and when I was at the Marinos in Garden City, after I got beat up by the Nazi nun, and they were great. And that's the Catholic Church. It's this unbelievable dichotomy of really great people who are like saints and beautiful, and the really worst of human beings. And see, John, that is humanity. Humanity is good and bad. And some people are just really bad all the time because they're so broken, they can't fix themselves. And that's what our life is about, fixing ourselves. And that's what we're here. We're here to learn to do that. So anyway, I was caught up in the moment just to react to everything that was going on. And, like I said, I turned the place upside down. Like they had slavery there. They had indentured servants. People had been working there for generations and they couldn't get out of their debt. And like I said, you didn't get beat up when you got punished there. They made you work. They had a farm, and they had, the kitchen, and they had guys mowing the lawn and fixing stuff. And so I was, okay, you got to work in the kitchen. You got to wait. You got to, milk the cows. You got to. So instead of complaining and instead of going, oh, that's terrible. Oh, I don't want to do this. I basically embraced it with a glee. Oh, this will be the greatest thing. Because they wanted me to suffer. And I would say, oh, this is great. Thank you for making me work in the kitchen. Oh, thank you for making me work in the farm. Because the people who work there were really nice, great people. Yeah, they were in the lowest, they were called wombats, right? That was their, negative name was wombats. And so, and everyone treated them like slaves because they were.
Were they minorities or white?
Mostly white. They were white. Everybody there was white. There were a few blacks,
okay.
but They were actually teachers, you know. No, it was, see, John, that's when I really, really, really learned that racism and discrimination is more about class, about race, or even gender. So anyway, and so worked in the kitchen, and that's how I learned how to fix, kitchen equipment, and because that's mostly what I did. And I liked working in the farm. I liked the animals. I liked the cows. I liked the horses. I
Wow.
liked the and so because I could go out there and I was on my own, you know. And so I would just sit there and clean out a stall and talk to the animals and just stay up there because nobody would come out there. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to go out there, you know. So anyway, long story short, I turned the place upside down, and I basically was asked not to come back because I really turned the place upside down. I mean,
Oh.
they did to me. I did something worse to them. I just kept doing it. I mean, it got to the point where my cardinal came and got me one night and said, "You got to go." I said, "What? What are you doing here?" Because they're going to kill you. I mean, they were at a point where they were literally going to kill me. They beat me up twice and put me in a hospital.
That's
and it
terrible.
Didn't stop. You know? No, it was like
You told about that in the stories on our channel.
Yeah.
They beat you up. The nurse beat you up. The guy tried to break your leg or something. Or you broke his leg. Or he broke his legs and flew out of the window and all that stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, I turned the place upside down. And I got...
You told about those stories in our videos.
What's that? They were moving from Long Island into New York City, into a very nice, fancy apartment. And they had such problems with my other brothers and sisters when they were teenagers. They rebelled and screamed and yelled and argued. And they didn't want that with me. So they just sent me to the seminary where I never came home. Right? We never... Christmas.
Oh, it was like a messed up place where they did that to kids and they tried to keep them there forever unless you left, like by yourself and never went back to your parents or something.
No. I mean, it was a school. You graduated and you went on to college. No, or another seminary. No, this was a Catholic seminary that was a prep school, meaning not everyone was going to be a priest. They had a class structure. They had Catholic guys who were going to be in the military. So they were in ROTC and they wore uniforms. And there were guys who were going to be in business, right? Like Austin Hearst of Hearst, Publishing, He was one of my roommates, right? So there were kids like him who were from really wealthy families. And this was a very prestigious Catholic prep school, and then there were guys like me who were going to be.
It wasn't Winchendon School.
No, that was the other.
That's a really good place, right?
It had its, at sea. That was a whole different time. Both these schools, like Canterbury now, is a really amazing. They don't do any of the shit that they did when I was there.
Oh no!
And I told this story.
No.
Oh, when I was, 40 years old, 41 maybe, I was in the Vermont Rainbow Gathering, right? And and I had been really involved in the rainbow scene for a number of years. I had a lot of good friends from childhood who ended up, being the high hippie holies of it. And I was in Ithaca, New York, and I was working at Cornell, and I got involved with some people who wanted to do a rainbow gathering there, and we did.
Great,
and it was probably the best rainbow gathering ever. And so I got the plume of, okay, this is the guy. If we want a good gathering, we let him facilitate. So, and my friends who were the leaders say, yeah, oh, yeah, that was great. And so I was in Vermont, and the scouts and I had picked a place in New Hampshire that was great. It would have been amazing, right?
Oh,
It was on the
no.
it was some presidential mountain range in New Hampshire. Well, Washington is, and Dartmouth is there, and they were going to give us, give us a piece of property to do it. They had a mountain, and it had just been logged, and we were going to clean it up, and really excited, and they gave us money, and it was great. We had a really good, site that had water, parking, good access, you name it, it had it, and it was beautiful. And NERF, New England Rainbow Family, we the scouts who went out and scout the Thanksgiving Council, we came and we said, okay, we found a spot, it's perfect, it's great. And, after the first day of the council, we got in the cars, and it was only, where NERF was, it was only about, 100 miles. So we drove to that there. It was, oh yeah, this is a spot. This is great. This is tremendous. And there's this guy named Two Feathers, and he wanted to do it in Vermont. So he forced politically to do it in Vermont. And the Vermont side was terrible. It was like.
But you went from Maine to the rainbow gatherings, and.
Yep.
But what happened in Europe?
I'm getting there.
Oh, you went to, what year was this in the rainbow gatherings?
Oh, that was 40. So it was the early O's, or the late
40.
Yeah, or maybe the 90s, late 90s, early O's. I'm not quite sure, somewhere in there. But what I'm telling you that story for was, I was sitting around a fire in the alcoholics camp. All these guys are drunk, and they're not even on site. They're like off the road. And I'm sitting there. It's like 2 a.m, and I'm babysitting.
But are you okay?
Am I okay?
You were telling a story about going to Europe.
I know. We're getting there.
After the 60s, why did it fast forward? Why are you talking about the rainbow gatherings in the 90s?
Because
Or the
it
80s,
is a.
90s.
And at this, you know me, I go through time travel when I tell a story. But anyway, I'm sitting at this fire pit with all these drunks, and this,
Okay. No.
and it's darker than dark, and the fire isn't really big, and so we're telling stories, and I'm telling a story about Canterbury, right? And you said,
Where's
oh,
Canterbury? England?
That's the Catholic Canterbury. Anyway, So I'm talking about, being there in the 60s, and this voice on the other side of the fire goes, and it's a female voice, and she goes, are you Al? And I said, yes. She goes, I graduated from that school. It's now co-ed, and you're a legend.
Wow.
And that was, so she was like something, and I was 41 or 2. And so, 60, no, I might have even been older, almost 50.
In
Anyway.
your 40s, if it was the 90s. Or
So
in your
anyway,
40s, you'd be in your 40s.
So she then told everyone the stories about me. I mean, I didn't talk about it. And I was talking about other stuff, and she just went on about like I was, some folk hero. Anyway, then the sun rose, and there she is, sitting across from me in this fire, smoldering, and she's really, really, very super attractive and smart, nice. And we've been talking, and the drunks have all fallen asleep, so it's just her and me. So, we get up, we walk into sight. The kitchens are starting to make stuff. We have coffee. We sit down. Something, and that's what job there is
desolate. No.
The traveling healer guy, and so so she's getting off on this, and I say, "You want to see my healing camp?" And she says, "Oh yeah, I want to see your healing camp." And you know, it's not right on the site. It's in this beautiful little glade. Because I was, you know, the facilitator of this gathering. I knew every inch of the place, so I picked a really great place to put a campsite for me, so I could get away from everything. And so I did. We went up there, and that's where we consummated our relationship, and she became my girlfriend, and it was great.
No.
But her, so you know,
But
the
that's
gathering.
terrible. I can't do those kinds of things. I got to be married to Danica.
Well, good. You can do that.
or
So
something.
anyway, so we're having.
I got to
great
be
old time.
married.
And
I've been trying to
morning-
be with her for many years.
I know, and I tell you, the only way you're going to be with her is just go there and be there. You have to show her you have a commitment. You haven't shown that. But anyway, so this girl and I, we were quite the duo, and the lady who ran that county had a store, and he was going to make sure that gathering didn't happen. But I convinced her that she would make a lot of money if she was the only store, you know, in the area. So there's going to be 20,000 people going to need batteries and this and that, and she'll make a lot of money. So I would go down there, and she had the place surrounded by police, and you know, and Vermont's pretty conservative state, and we would go down there at least 3 or 4 times a week and have breakfast, because she had a great, you know, pancakes and maple syrup, and the sheriff was there, the highway patrol guy was there, and the Forest Service guy was there, and we would talk about what the, you know, what the gathering needs to do, because they wouldn't want to come on site because it was a really shithole. Anyway, so we are going down and having breakfast, and it's all good. And so they're telling us, you know, hey, watch out for this, watch for that, blah, blah, blah. So they're, you know, so I'm the intermediary. We are between, you know, the gathering and the authorities. And so they tell us that there is a group of murdering crazy people from California who want to come to the Rainbow Gathering and kill hippies, right? And so they said, you should watch it. I said, so what should we look for? And he said, well, they're in a Winnebago, a tan Winnebago, and they're from California. And I said, okay, I'll put that in the mix. And so we are, I go also, and I tell them about that and blah, blah, blah. And so a day or so later, we're going down to have breakfast.
No.
And we're at the gate, and when people would leave, we'd say, hey, I want to go to town. Can you give us a ride? And so this Winnebago stops, and I said, hey, want to go down? We want to go downtown.
You try to act like you're cooler than You try to act like you're cooler than me in the video, like you blew your nose and act like you blew your nose on me. And then when I was walking out of the room, you heard my footsteps, and you said, and then they go to the John. That's his name.
No, that's not true, John. I'm not cooler than you. You are the cool dude. A handkerchief in your suit pocket. Well, I'm not wearing a suit, so anyway. And when I sleep, I wake up in the morning and my nose is a little stuffed because this place is
don't worry about it.
Okay. Anyway, so we're going down there, and you know, I'm wearing her clothes. She's wearing my clothes. We're half naked. It's a rainbow gathering. That's what it is. And the people down in the world, you know, the cops, the old lady, they don't even think twice. They see me now for the last 3 months, and her and I together for the last week. So it's like, yeah. So we're having breakfast, we're talking, and they tell us about the Winnebago. So a couple days later, we go back to talk to them and have breakfast. And we get picked up by the Winnebago. And
But it's wrong to fornicate.
Well, John, do you know what the word fornicate means?
Yes, it's lust of the heart, and also it's usually sexual.
what it is what is the first of the 10 Commandments?
It means real no, the first of the 10 Commandments is to love God with more than anything you could ever, to love God with all you have.
Right, exactly. And so when you're not loving God with all you got, you're fornicating. Not just sex, but when you're like lusting after that car, lusting after that house,
and a false idol.
That fornication. Not just sex, but anything that you put in the place of God's love. That's fornication. And you know the word fuck, right? F-U-C-K? That word means to fornicate under church and king. That's why the world is so screwed up, because we are disconnected from God's love. We're fucked up.
No, yeah, well, that's this earth.
Right. So anyway, we're on this, gray or tan Winnebago going downtown from the site. And I'm looking around. I'm half asleep, right? And my girlfriend, she's like leaning on me.
I ate a crab sandwich. I threw it up in the air. It fell on somebody's pussycat. It fell right on the pussycat. And it went, the cat said no and ran away.
So, there we are. And this guy, so there's two other guys. This one road dog I kind of know. I've seen him over the years at gatherings, and he's a real scumbag. And this other young guy, and he's really twitchy, right? So and I'm not paying attention to anything. I'm thinking about blueberry pancakes and a good cup of coffee. And anyway, so we are on our way, and this kid in the back screams, right? And it like freaks everyone out. And I go, what a kid? What's your problem?
He lit a candle, and it blew a fart out of his backside.
No, it wasn't quite that. But anyway, so he looks, it's the police. No. And there was one police car there. Well, there's tons. So he...
Then Gonzo came out of the thing. But you are never Gonzo. You have a small nose.
Right.
But you don't have it. Well, you don't have one of the... Maybe when you were a child... You looked up and saw those people who had like a really big nose, and you were afraid, and it made you feel like bad. Like maybe you were afraid of them, and you never wanted to be that way. So God let you have a nose that wasn't really big.
No, I was never really afraid of any.
I think that's how my son Ivan was, because I dressed up as the Penguin and went to their house with a big nose and makeup on, and he got afraid by it. And I think he doesn't want to have a big nose. He's so afraid of it if he had a big nose.
I don't know why. I mean, God gives you what you get, and that's what it is. So, I never was the guy to look in the mirror or say, "Oh, I wish I looked like this or that." I was just what I was. So anyway, long story short,
But that's good. It's good that you didn't have a problem with it. You didn't have problems with it until you got heavy.
No, I didn't even have problems when I got heavy. I had no problems being heavy.
But they kind of looked down on you and they said, "Oh, he's fat."
No, I don't think you understand. When I was my most heaviest, right, 500 fucking pounds, I was working for 11 figure lawyers, and they desperately needed my skill sets. And so,
really, you were really confident?
Beyond confident.
Whoa! And they liked you, women liked you, and girls or women?
Oh yeah. I had some really good girlfriends in that period of time. Yeah.
But they kind of have. They still kind of are like they like the way that young men who are skinny look. Who are good looking.
In that, late 90s, early O's, when I was starting to get really big.
But they're not all that way. They sometimes, some of them like a really big man. Oh, I looked up, I found the heaviest man alive. I didn't find him, but he was on the internet. And he's the heaviest man to have ever lived, and he was 1,400 pounds, and he died when he was in his 40s, and he had a young woman who was only 100, he had a woman who was his age, or a little younger, who he's married to, and she was 110 pounds, and he was 1,400 pounds, and he was like cool, he looked cool, he had like a big company that he owned, a taxi cab company, and he was the heaviest man to have ever lived, I think. 1,400 pounds, so he was famous too. But kind of famous.
I wasn't even 500 pounds. I was getting there in the 4. And I would say I surely wouldn't want to be 1,400 pounds. Because all of the stuff that I'm suffering right now, physically, like my arthritis and my neuropathy and all of my bones being bone on bone, it's pretty painful, but it is something that it's like whenever you do something in your life.
But maybe you're only 380.
No, I was past 400 pounds.
Then why do you look cool? Sometimes you looked cool when you took your shirt off, and it looked like you didn't have stretched skin. It looked like you were like cool and kind of it strong and stuff.
Well, because that's how I looked. I don't know.
You did. You looked like one of the cool people who, when they take their shirt off, they weren't fat.
Well, you see now, John, I weigh 190. That's what I weighed in high school. I'm 6 foot plus, not quite 6'1", but between 6'1" and 6. And I haven't shrunk yet. And I'm 190. So. When it's hot, I don't wear a shirt.
Dana.
I almost have a 6-pack. Meaning,
what did Dana think of you when you're in this neighborhood? Oh, big. Oh, wow, went on a boat. That's how Dana thinks. Dana thinks that you talk. Dana in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Dana. She thinks, oh, wow, fisherman, whoa, lobster. No, not lobster. Shrimp, a boat, no.
Anyway, so the bottom line about the Vermont incident was this girl. So we were having a great time. And so we're there, and we're in the, Winnebago, and the kid is screaming, and there's cops. And I said, don't worry about it. There's cops everywhere. It's just, relax, And so we're getting down towards town, and now there are a lot of cops around the Winnebago. And I go, well, this is more than just a lot of cops. So we get down to town, and they stop the vehicle, and they say, all right, everyone out. Hands up, don't make a move. And we're surrounded by policemen with shotguns and machine guns, and they're behind their cars. They're like scared of us, right? So I go, okay, this is a misunderstanding. And the kid is like freaking out, just going nuts, right? And the road dog is so blah, 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 blah. And the guys who are driving the bus, I said, where are you guys from? And they said, California. I said, what color is this Winnebago? And they go, it's tan. I said, okay. So I see the picture now. So I basically am wearing just my girlfriend's underpants, and a T-shirt, one of her T-shirts. I'm not really, highly dressed. It's summertime. It's warm. Anyway, so I go, everyone get on the floor. Don't move. And the kid is still screaming. And I go, kid. Snap out of it. You got things more to worry about. He goes, no, I don't. And he shows me his knapsack. He's got like, I don't know, 100 sheets of acid, right? And just a tenth of a sheet of acid, a federal government is going to send him off to prison for 30 years. He's got like, 100 times that. So he's freaking out about that. So I go, don't worry about this. Everyone stay cool. Don't scream or yell. Don't do anything. Just, stay down. If something goes south, you'll be safe. Anyway, so I get out, take the T-shirt off, and I'm just wearing my girlfriend's lacy underpants, right? And she's a lot smaller than I am, so they're basically falling off me, and I'm exposing myself. And I get on my knees, and I start saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. And I am basically screaming this. And I have my hands, behind my head, kneeling on the ground. So I am totally naked. I have no guns. I am not a threat. And I'm this kind of big fat guy. Well, I'm not really, really fat, but I'm probably 300 pounds by this time. And I got my hands behind my head, and all the guys with the guns, they're like pointing at me, but they don't know what to make. And this guy obviously isn't a threat. He's kneeling. He's got his hands behind his head, and he's naked. So, yeah, he doesn't have a gun, but they're still freaked out. Oh, they could be doing something. And so all of a sudden I hear this yell, ow, what are you doing? And it's the highway patrol guy, the state authoritative. And he tells everybody, put your guns out, this is Al, And my girlfriend comes out, and she's barely naked, and she like, oh, you okay, honey? I said, yeah, I'm fine. She helps me up, and the police chief helps me up, and anyway, I said, we thought these were the murdering guys from California. I said, I know, but we're not. So just let them go. No big deal. And they said, well, okay, but we have to, fill up the forms because we have spent, all these people with guns, and we can't just say, see you later, bye. So they check out the guys who own the thing, and they're totally legal. The road dog, he's like, screaming at the cops, you pigs, you scum, blah, blah, blah. And they're ready to let everyone go. They just have to go through the process. And they didn't like this guy because he was being a real schmuck. And they said, what should we do with him? And I said, anything you want to. So they drag him away. And then the guy in the back, he's like a puddle because he ate all of that acid. He ate enough acid to get like 1,000 people, totally tripping. So this kid ain't coming back. I said, what about this guy? I said, well, get him to a hospital. He's just taken all of this acid. And so they do that. And I said, and they don't care. The road dog, they drag away. Who knows where he went. And they took the other guy and took him to a hospital. And they took us to breakfast. So we go down there and we're talking. And I said, the gathering has another week to go. I'm tired with it. I like you guys more than I like them. And so the highway patrol guy goes, we're staying in, what part of Putney? We're in Putney at the Holiday Inn. Would you like to come to Holiday Inn to have a nice restaurant? And my girlfriend says, can I have a shower? I said, a shower? We'll put you in a suite with a jacuzzi. And she goes, yeah. She's like running towards the police car. Take us. And so they take us, we get in the car, we go to Putney. It's a Saturday, I think. And we go, I said, you know what? We're going to take you to Sears and buy you some clothes. You can't come into the Holiday Inn half naked. So we go into Sears, and she goes off to the girly thing, and she gets herself a cowgirl outfit. Cowboy, a dress with fringe and a cowgirl shirt and a cowgirl hat. And then she like saw all this stuff, put it all on, in the changing room, came out and said, "Oh, great!" Everyone applauds. And she drags me over the guy section, and she dresses me up, cowboy boots, jeans, cowboy shirt, and a cowboy hat, right? So we go from half naked, dirty hippies to, and so we check in there, we scrub ourselves down in the shower, and we come out. We also got bathing trunks because they had a pool. So we have lunch, and then we go and get in our swimming trunks, and we go hang out at the pool. And she's just going, I love this. I can't stand the gathering. It's those pigs. I'm out like, And so, okay, I can identify with that. So we'll have a great time, 3 days, and they take us back to the site because the highway patrol guys, they go, there's something really wrong at the campsite. And they're like going to war. They're getting ready to go to war with the cops. And you need to go back and smooth that out. So they do, we get in the police car, and we drive to where the site is, go up the mountain, and we're driving into the site, and the lights they're not making the noise, but the lights are blinking. And so they drive up into the crowd. There's maybe, I don't know, 10,000 people around the police car. And they're like, ready for war. And this, what was her name? Garrett's wife. Really crazy woman. And so she is a leader of war. She's a war princess. And so she comes up to the head cop and says, "Why did you arrest our friends? Why did you arrest Al?" And I said, "They didn't arrest us. They invited us to go to the Holiday Inn. That's why we're dressed in cowboy clothes. No, we had a really nice time. We had a suite and we ate meat because the Rainbow Gathering's 100% vegan. And we ate meat, and half the people were, jonesing for a cheeseburger. Yeah, we had steak and roast beef every night." Anyway, she slaps the head policeman, right? And everyone stops. And this policeman, I have to hand it to him, because he's the head authority. He's probably 50-something. He never, everything had to be his way. And she slaps him, like really slaps him, like really, like knocks his head sideways.
Oh, man. And
he goes, "Listen, ma'am, I know you're upset, so I'm going to overlook that, right?" I'm going to overlook that. And I just want everyone, there is no problem. The gathering's almost over. The 4th of July is tomorrow. Why don't you get ready for that and have a big party? And I said, yes, let us do that. Let us go. Let's cook it in the kitchen. Let's get ready for the 4th.
Yeah, no.
And so I walked away. My girlfriend, we were wearing cowboy outfits. And, everyone walks away from the war lady, and she's pissed off because that as we do things in our life, there are we have to be conscious of everything we do, because if we are doing it in consort with God's love. Like when I was the thing that really gave me the most motivation was that I was always talking to God, and God was telling me, "Yeah, this school has, this school is in my name. Look at all the terrible things you're doing." No, so that's why I did what I did. I was doing it in God. That's why I survived it, and that's why I kept going, and that's why that young girl, almost 30 years later, falls in love with me in the middle of a dark, fire pit in Vermont.
But you almost...
And she, "Are you out?" And yes. And that's... So that was the, God giving me a little cookie for being his good servant at that prep school. Because what I did, I so rocked that place that school changed to being, co-educational. They had girls there, right? So anyway, how that I got thrown out of that school, and it was a big brouhaha. Like, the cardinal had to come and get me in the middle of the night, right?
I was big, fat, the coolest one of all of them.
Yeah. But that was the 60s, and when I saw the girl, it was in the 90s. So anyway, I get home, and I, thinking that I'm going to go back to Long Island. My parents haven't told me they moved into New York City. So I get off the bus, and my dad's kind of waiting there for me. He never would be doing that. And I said, "Hey, Dad, what's up?" He goes, "Well, we've moved, and I didn't tell you, so I didn't want you to think that, you were going to have to try and get to Long Island. So, I'm going to take you to our new apartment." I said, "Apartment? Oh, okay." So I basically went with them, and they were a super duper fancy, ritzy place. And they said, "We are heading to Europe, like tomorrow."
When was this?
Well, this was in 1965.
Oh.
I was a freshman in 1965, so 1965. Anyway,
you were a freshman in high school?
Yeah, 1960.
So, no, you were like 14 or?
Yeah, a freshman in high school.
So instead of going up north to Maine, you went to...
Right, so Maine was before my freshman year. It was a summer camp, summer school that's supposed to prep me up for being in this seminary, and it was that. But we really didn't do any of that.
What kind of adventures did you go on in Europe and traveling the world after that? Was that the first time you left America?
Right, so my parents say, "We're going to Europe," right? So my mother has gotten me my passport, and I go, "Okay, no problem." And they had a suitcase with all the clothes they want me to wear. They bought, and so no problem. So they show me, "Here's the couch. You're going to sleep on the couch here." Okay, that's good. And so the next morning we get up, we go to Kennedy, we get on the Pan Am flight to, and my parents are in first class, and they have me in like steerage, in like way back in the plane, right? So it's like, yeah, okay. So I was having fun with everybody there. Their plane lands in England, and we basically get off the airplane. We go to this very super ritzy hotel, and they were going to Europe because my dad had this meeting. He left the Air Force around the time I was about 2 or 3, but he was still even though he didn't wear the uniform, the things he had done, he is still connected to it somewhat. So he would go to meetings and conferences and things like that. And that's what they were doing. They were going to this conference, and come with me. And we go across the lobby, and there's this guy, and there are people around him. And it was General Groves, the guy who was the military leader of the Manhattan Project, right? And my dad had to do with that, so he knew General Groves. My dad was a colonel. General Groves was a general. Anyway, so he walks up to General Groves and he goes, "General Groves, I'm so and so, and I know you." And General Groves, no one ever. My dad was always the groove, the head, the hottest, the number one dude. And General Groves turns to my father and says, "You may know me, but I don't know you." It was like the most amazing put down I ever saw anyone do of my father. And it like put my father, the first time I ever saw him, his foot was on the back. He didn't know what to say. He was confused. And I'm going, I like this general guy. And
No.
I said, what did you do in the war? And he said, I killed millions of people. I mean, he wasn't a happy man, right? His little, what he did with birthing the atomic bomb, he wasn't a happy man. Anyway, so that's the first thing we saw in Europe. And when we drove into London, there were still buildings that were bombed out from World War II. It was really bizarre. So anyway, we got our nice little room. We went down for dinner and had a nice little dinner. And then my mother said, well, I'm going to go see some of the museums and your father's going to be at this conference. And I said, sure, sounds good. So we went to the National Museum and a few other things. And we had tea at Covent Gardens, and that was kind of fun. And then we went back to the hotel and then we, did the same thing for about 3 days. My mother and I just walked around.
How terrible life is.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I had a great time. I always have a great time with my mom.
How terrible life on earth is.
Yeah, and so
because God brought the sin right in with us, from under us. He made the sin of this earth to make us suffer, so nothing would ever really be okay.
No.
We're alive in this earth.
Right about up to that point, but the suffering is actually a gift. The suffering is there for us to have contrast with what it's like to love God and the suffering, right? Not going to kill me, but it's not like loving God. So that's our life here on earth. Is not a prison. It's a sandbox. We're in kindergarten.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go, Al. I'll send you money on PayPal.
I appreciate it.
Okay, bye. Sorry. Bye.
Don't be
Okay, are you okay?
I'm okay. I just wanted to make sure you were okay.